All right, here he is.
Who's going to be listening on mute? She's here. I'm going to let her in.
Great, thank you.
Hello.
Hey man, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, so nice to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you.
The New Yorker said that your play treats Black experience as a subject to elicit pleasure and joy rather than pain. And I think in all art, quite often the Black experience, even from a Black pen, is about, hey, let's mind the trauma, let's deal with the pain, kind of a therapy session. Not always a tremendous amount of Black art that is about the joy of Black culture. But you, in this piece, really lean toward the joy of Black culture.
I, as an actor and also now a writer, have seen so many things in the theater specifically that have to go through a certain gaze to get space. And so sometimes that gaze likes to allow things through that put us in a more traumatized state. And so my commitment is to write towards the healing, to make sure it's really appealing to us. And I was just at the theater before I came home after rehearsal, and there are Black women coming through that door ready. And there's a pride there that they don't always get in this space. So I am intentionally writing things that allow Black people, because when you write, especially theater pieces, they become a part of the canon. And the beautiful thing about this play, and we've already gotten some asks for licensing, is that in 2024, when this is out in the world, every time Chicken and Biscuits is done, it will employ 7 Black principal actors. That is huge. That is legacy. That is the thing. That is, I'm getting chills right now because that is why I write. Like, the success of this moment is awesome, but I also understand what it is to be a Black actor looking for work and the style of stories that you get.
A lot of people jobs through this piece.
Oh, yeah. There are 30 Broadway debuts in our company, off stage and on stage. 9 of our actors out of 13 are making their Broadway debuts. And some people that literally were non-union prior to the pandemic are now Broadway principal contracts. And
that changes their career.
Oh, my God. I just got off a call with a Hollywood exec, and he was like, I saw the play and I want to work. Like, I'm trying to figure out what I can put her in. It is exposure for everyone. And that, I think, is the movement, and not just arriving on Broadway, but arriving on Broadway with something that is going to reach the people it was written for. I ask myself 3 questions now. What do I want to say? Who do I want to reach? And how can I be paid to do it again? That's like my life motto. Okay?
Go ahead. Go on.
No. So I'm very specific about the opportunities and the why, because as an actor, my actor brain initially was like, I want to be working. Did I book a job? I need to, right? But now I have a little bit more breath to go, okay, but why am I doing this? And who am I trying to reach? And what am I saying? Because there's a responsibility with the pen. So I'm very aware of that.
Who are you trying to reach?
With Chicken and Biscuits specifically?
Well, just, I meant that more with your work in general, because you're saying looking forward, I'm saying, who do I want to reach? That was one of your 3 core questions. Who is your envisioned audience?
I think it ranges given the project. So I have this actor-musician piece called Beau, and it is very queer-centric. It's for the kid in Kansas who has not come out yet, who feels like he might want to end his life. That story is for him to say, don't run from yourself, hold on a little longer. Everything's going to be okay. Right? Chicken and Biscuits, there's actually intersectionality of queerness and Blackness in the church, which we don't often talk about. And so there are Black men sending me messages going, thank you. I've never seen myself on that stage. And I was able to heal and maybe have a conversation with my mother after this play. So I think every project is a little different. Polka Dots, which is a kids musical I wrote, is based on the strength of the Little Rock Nine and Ruby Bridges. So it's more kids based than, little kids who feel like they are the other in their classrooms. That one is for them. But every project usually has intention.
You mentioned earlier the historic moment that you are part of. There's 7 or 8 black
Now 8.
written,
Yeah,
now
7.
8 black written plays on Broadway right now. That is more than the previous 10 years combined, right? Like 2 years ago it was 1, 3 years ago it was 0. Now there's 8. Why is it that there's so many black written plays on Broadway right now? What happened?
I mean, the racial reckoning that we had with George Floyd, I think, played a lot, into this moment, and people pausing and not having excuses to ignore the fact that there are diverse writers of different backgrounds and genders out here in these streets. And so I feel like the theater felt like it had a responsibility to step up and do the right thing. And now, mind you, we're still in a pandemic and everyone has not returned to the theater. The box offices are not just where they were. Like, people are still afraid, rightfully so. So there has been this discussion, are we the testers of the comeback? But for me, I've decided that, there are very successful writers that are beloved in the theater who have never been box office hits. So I don't care about the box office as much right now. I care about the impact and the fact that there are college students who are coming to see this show 3 and 4 times because they see themselves. And that's something that theater usually doesn't do for people in my skin.
But if you feel like this is because of some guilt or some eye-opening on the part of the gatekeepers of Broadway, do you then foresee us soon going back to there only being 1 or 2 black plays on Broadway?
I can't speak to the future. I can only speak to the moment. And so I think what I'm hoping happens is that people pay attention to the audiences that are coming in. Because I think the largest change is our audience at Chicken and Biscuits is probably at least 40% people of color nightly. I'm going to just put that out based on what I've seen. Okay. That's unlike any other Broadway theater. And so sure. I don't know what the future seasons have to come, but I think this moment we are living right now will go down in history and the history books. And to be a part of that is just all I can focus on.
I mean, I know that there is a golden age going on in film and television for black and brown creators, in front of the camera, behind the camera, really authentic characters and stories being told from Netflix to the big screen to OWN to ABC, all over the place. And when I talk to people there, they talk about structural things that have happened behind the scenes in terms of people moving up, in not into full green light position, but into more producing positions where, so they're like, this is not a moment. This is a movement that will continue, as well as the widening of the field to add something like OWN, add something like Netflix that, so you're not talking about a structural change on Broadway that will necessarily continue.
I mean, the structural change boils down to like the theater owners and the lead producers and such. And just, candidly, those are not often people of color. That's just the reality of where we are. But that does not mean we can't continue to tell our stories and challenge these spaces with our stories. And that's just like, that's the power I do have, is to do that part.
Take me back into your process. How do you write a play?
An idea, I call them mosquito bites, that like swarm me, and I'll smack it away and sometimes put it on the shelf. It'll come back. Chicken and Biscuits organically came to be. It was going to be a 4-person play with a queer couple and then the mother and father characters. And then there were some family gatherings and things that happened in my life where I was like, this is funny. Like, these people are funny. I think I can expand this and give more roles to Black women, which just, at the time for me, backstage, it was very limited. We were in supporting roles, or we were, pillaged and oppressed. And I always seek joy. It's what I was raised on. It's how my mother walks through the world. And so I wanted to bring that joy into this space. And so I write typically 5 to 10 pages at a time. I was in residence at the director's company for 2 years before the pandemic hit, and I wrote 2 projects, Chicken and Biscuits being the second. And I would write 10 pages, call in some actor friends, hear it, get notes, 20 pages, 30 pages, and I met the director around page 30, and the first draft was completed August of 2018.
You wrote 10 pages at a time and then looked at it, not knowing where you were going to go, how you were going to end?
Not exactly. Yeah. I often don't know where I'm going to go. Like if I know the why, if I know like why I'm writing it, what I want to say with it, then it'll get me to where I'm going. But I don't outline plays exactly. TV stuff I will, but with my plays, I don't always outline.